Hello and welcome to Just Jets episode 279. What is going on? I am Matt O'Leary, going to be hanging out with you for another episode of our lovely program here. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're tuning in, I know something about you. You're a diehard Jets fan, because if you're consuming Jets content in late June, early July, very soon, you're a little bit of a sicko, but that's okay. I love you guys, and maybe I'm a bit of a sicko for continuing to put out the content. I'm dying, man. I love the NFL. NFL's number one for me. But once training camp comes around, pretty much through the draft, there's going to be tons of content every single day. But right now, we're going through it a little bit. It is the quietest period in the NFL. Once you get past minicamp, and then you get to this dead zone for about a month before you get to training camp. So I appreciate you sticking with me. Honestly, the only thing getting me through right now, my Mets look like absolute garbage right now, that they need to snap out of this badly. NHL draft is coming up on Friday. I'm pumped up. My team, the Islanders, have the number one pick. A lot of trade rumors. July 1 is free agency in the NHL. So I'm getting my sports fix right now through the NHL. NBA and NHL playoffs are over. It's just baseball right now, and my team hasn't been playing very good, so I'm trying to get through it. But anyway, have a couple things that I want to get into today. Mostly, we'll answer some of your voicemails, but the big topic here in the intro, Adam Schefter was on ESPN New York with Alan Hahn, Don LaGreca, and Peter Rosenberg on the afternoon show. And he was talking about one of the big things that was different about this Aaron Glenn team versus the Jets in recent years. Let's listen to the video and react on the other side.
Shefty, on the Jets side of things, it's amazing because for me, the last couple of years, the last 2 years especially, the Jets just feel like they have been a daily story for obvious reasons that go even just beyond just having Aaron Rodgers. There was just so much going on there. It has gotten so quiet at Florham Park right now.
On purpose.
So what should we expect this to be, where it's Aaron Glenn, that's the front man, that's the voice of the franchise. It's a very strong voice, clearly. And that's it?
He has made that clear to the team, okay, and the organization. Guys, we don't want anyone talking. I'm going to stand up here and I'm going to represent this organization. I mean, I'm just telling you, there are people there that haven't returned my call. I'm like, okay, fine. Okay, I got it. Clearly they want one voice speaking for this team. They don't like everybody, all the things that have happened in the past. New regime, new perspective, new outlook, and they want to approach this in a different way. And I don't think it's coincidental that everything's been quiet, because that's the way that the lead man wants it done. And that's going to work for a while. Now, inevitably, it'll soften up some. It has to over time. But right now, he has made it very clear. They don't want all these voices talking.
All right, there you go. They don't want all these voices talking. And no one's returning Adam Schefter's call, and he's really upset about it. That's what it seemed like. But from the Jets side of things, right, I started this episode talking about how it's a quiet time. And from just strictly content, it's not great for me right now. But I would, as a Jet fan, first and foremost, I am a Jets fan. I care more about this team and the success of this team than I do having things to talk about in June. But give me this versus last year. Because last year around this time, or any of the last couple years, really, last year in particular, though, you had the controversial Aaron Rodgers misses minicamp, and you also had Hassan Reddick in the middle of a holdout. The Jets don't have a holdout. They have guys like Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner who could have held out if they really wanted to, but both guys expressed that they want to do what's right by the team and want to be there. And, it's important part with the new coaching staff to implement their offense. And, even the first year in 2023, you had the Aaron Rodgers trade. So anytime Rodgers stepped on the field in practice, it was a big story. And I'm not even blaming Aaron Rodgers for that, but the Jets were in the news and a headline team on ESPN talk shows every single day. Whether it was, do they have Are they going to be good enough this year? Aaron Rodgers is still the best. No, he stinks. No, the Jets coaching staff isn't good enough. Well, their defense is so great. Like, whatever the talking points were, which is fine. Like, they tried it and it didn't work this way. And for most of my life as a Jets fan, there's been a lot of off the field controversies with the Jets, or things that have happened off the football field that have become mega storylines. Like, whether it was acquiring Brett Favre, or, you know, Rex Ryan and the foot video, or anything that Woody Johnson's done, getting Tim Tebow brought in here. There's been a lot of things that have happened that's not always been just about football. And like, yeah, the Jets football that they've played over the last 15 years hasn't been very good. Let's be frank about it here. But I like the different approach that it's significantly quieter than in years gone by. And that kind of gets me back to a video I did on my YouTube channel recently, where I was talking about, you know, a quote from Brian Costello, and he was saying, you know, yeah, you know, the culture change is one thing, but a culture change happens anytime that you have a new coach brought in. And I didn't agree with it. And I gave him some pushback, and I get it. Yes, they do have to win games eventually. That's the next step in this progression that you get to, is, yeah, you have to win games. That's what matters most. But the Jets are an organization that very rarely does the little things right. So when someone like me or another content creator is pointing to this and talking about, hey, it's been much more quiet, they haven't been that super flashy team, I want to talk about that as a good thing, because again, that's not our norm. If it was our norm and they just still stunk every year, then yeah, I'd probably be right there with Brian Costello and say, what's the effing difference right now, right? What's the difference? If they're not going to win on the football field, why does it matter? Well, I'm sorry. It was, whether you had, you know, Zach Wilson drama, you know, Sam Darnold, young quarterback, and Adam Gase brought in as head coach. It's like so much over this period, this window where you've missed the playoffs. You could pretty much point to just about something every single year, whether, maybe not as far as a distraction, but big talking points, loud things that were not necessarily on the football field related. Let's go year by year. 2011, big changes. You let key guys go in free agency. Jericho Cotchery out. You lose Braylon Edwards. Brad Smith goes. You know, on and on and on, right? And you bring in like Derek Mason. You continue to try to add, you know, veterans and plug holes with veterans that unfortunately didn't work out. Plaxico Burress. And there was a lot of hype around that Jets team because they just went back to back-to-back AFC championship games, and then they weren't good enough. They were an 8-8 team. Next year, Tim Tebow. They bring in Tim Tebow. Now there's a quarterback controversy with Mark Sanchez and Tim Tebow coming off an off year in 2011. The Jets give him a new contract. And in 2012, he was horrible. Sanchez was horrible that year. And yeah, that team as a whole wasn't very good, but I don't think the controversy that came with bringing in Tim Tebow was worth anything to the Jets. Do you have any memories of Tim Tebow in playing games for the Jets, or is it just him running in the rain? Because for me, I remember Tim Tebow running in the rain. I don't really remember anything on the football field that he was doing that made headlines. Okay. 2013, they end up bringing in Geno Smith. They changed their general manager. I would say relatively quiet offseason, I guess, right? That year, not a lot happened. Not a lot was expected, and they were an okay team, 8-8. 2014, Michael Vick comes in. You bring in some names in Eric Decker and Chris Johnson, the running back, and they really stunk that year. Geno Smith missed the team meeting because he didn't know time zones in San Diego. That was pretty classic. 2015, Geno Smith gets punched out. Ryan Fitzpatrick has to start because a Jets teammate broke his jaw. That was a huge thing. 2016 offseason, Ryan Fitzpatrick holds out. 2017, the Jets go and tear everything down. There wasn't much expectation at all with that team. And they actually played better than I think most people thought. They finished 5-11 that year, and they were picked to be like the worst team in the NFL, and they weren't. And if Josh McCown didn't get hurt, they probably would have ended up winning more than 5 games. 2018, you draft Darnold. That's a huge storyline. Darnold back and forth. 19, you bring in Mike McCagnon spends like a drunken sailor, CJ Mosley, Tremaine Johnson, Le'Veon Bell. Adam Gase is your new head coach. Gross. 2020, Jamal Adams offseason. The Jets have a horrible year. 2021, new coaching staff. You see what I'm getting at here? And then year after year, it just, you get to, and then it's the Rodgers era. And this has been significantly more quiet than any of those years. And I think that's okay. I think it's a good thing. I think we're allowed to talk about it and that it's a welcome change, because most of the time, this team isn't very quiet. And I would like them to be a quiet, normal football team. And hopefully they take the steps this year to becoming that. I don't think they're going to break the playoff drought this year, but take a tangible step forward and show me signs of being a legitimate football team. Let's get to your voicemails on this episode. We'll get us started with Max. He wants to do his predictions for running backs this year. So let's see what Max is thinking for Breece Hall and company.
Hi, this is Max calling in from Holmes, New Jersey. Last week we covered the wide receiver room, and I forgot to mention receiver, Josh Reynolds. I think he's going to have 80 receptions for 500 yards and 6 touchdowns. But today let's talk about the running back room. So last week I covered wide receivers. And today I'm going to cover my running back stat predictions. So Breece Hall is going to have around 195 carries for 900 yards and 5 touchdowns. And then for receiving, he's going to have 40 receptions for 500 yards and 3 touchdowns. Braylon Allen's going to have 170 carries for 800 yards and 4 touchdowns. And for receiving, he's going to have 40 receptions for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I think Isaiah Davis is going to have 25 carries for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then for receiving, he's going to have 10 receptions for 100 yards and 1 touchdown. What's your thoughts on my running back stat predictions, and go Jets?
So I think I'm going to be a little bit higher on Breece Hall's yardage and usage. You had him at 195 carries, around 900 yards. I think we get him over 200. I think he's closer to 210, 215, and maybe around 1,100 yards. We'll see what I end up landing on my predictions. I think you're predicting them to use Braylon more than I am. Not by a ton, but I think he's closer to like the 600-something yardage than he is up over 800 yards. But that's fine. I think you're viewing them more as running back by committee. Isaiah Davis, not a math guy, but I think you have him at 12 yards a carry, which would be nuts. He had 5 yards per carry, over 5, maybe closer to 6 actually, which was really good. If he runs the ball 30 times or however many, I think it was 25. You said he's probably going to have, I don't know, let's see, 25 times. Let's call it 4.5 yards a carry. 112 yards. That's probably closer to where he's going to be unless they up his usage. And we'll see where you get Justin Fields numbers from. I don't think your yardage is that far off on the top 2 guys, on Breece and Braylon. I have Breece with a little bit more and Braylon with a little bit less, but that's good. I'm hoping that they have more rushing touchdowns this year. I would like to see Breece Hall get that number up. I'd like to see Justin Fields too. We'll see when you get to the quarterbacks, what we're looking at there. Receiving wise, 500 receiving yards for Breece sounds about right. 300, probably a touch high for Braylon Allen. And we'll see if they even throw the ball to Isaiah Davis. I don't remember off the top of my head if they really did all that much last year. So thank you, Max, for the call. Let's go to PG up next from Long Island.
Hello, Matt O'Leary. PG from Long Island here.
Hey, PG.
Thank you for taking the call. I want to quickly comment on your take on Brian Costello last week.
Sure.
I agree 100%. The word I use is dismissive. He's very dismissive whenever the Jets do something well. They had a good offseason. They had 100% attendance in the offseason program. But he's like, man, they have to win some games. So, yeah, they have to win some games. So you can also give them
no
credit
duh
for what they're doing well at the time. And again, he's very dismissive, and honestly, it's very annoying. But what I want to talk about is another point you had last week in this podcast. And in 2012, Seattle Seahawks signed free agent Matt Flynn to be their starting quarterback. He had been a backup for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. When he did fill in for him, he had a very good season, including the game where he threw for 480 yards and 6 touchdowns. So they signed him to a decent contract, $20 million for 3 years, $10 million guaranteed. At the time, not top of the line quarterback money, but good starting quarterback money. I bring that up, of course, because by all reports, and talked about this last week, Isaiah Thomas has evidently outplayed Brandon Stevens so far in this offseason. Stevens, of course, third round pick, just like Russell Wilson was. Here's the thing: if this continues going into the season where Thomas is outplaying Stevens, they have to start Thomas. And the reason I say that is, look, the players are going to know who the better player is, and Luigi and Aaron Glenn will lose credibility if they don't play the best player. They're always talking about competition, best player. Nobody's job is guaranteed, so they need to play the better player. I'll even take it so far as to say, if Stiggers and BBC prove to be the quality depth and backups that they are, maybe trade Brandon Stevens. Yeah, I know it's probably not going to happen. He's going to go out there, but they didn't expect to sign a cornerback in the draft, especially one of this talented. So I say, why not? Again, probably going a little too far, but anyway, those are my thoughts, Matt O'Leary. And as always, get your thoughts and go Jets.
Thank you so much, BG. Really appreciate the call. I agree with you. Obviously, we're on the same page with Kaz. Interesting point to bring up the Russell Wilson, Matt Flynn, right? Like Russell Wilson not expected to start in year one. They paid, if you remember, they did, as PG saying, they paid him a decent chunk of money, him being Flynn, to come in and be the starter. And Russell was just flat out better. I think I need to see if this continues into training camp, which honestly would not be shocked with. Brandon Stevens coming off a really tough year. I had a video this week or two that I looked at overrated and underrated guys. I think the Jets are overrating Brandon Stevens right now. And I do think it's only a matter of time before AZ Thomas is starting. And I think that's their long-term plan. Now, the question, in my opinion, then becomes, well, what do you do with Brandon Stevens? Because he's making so much money. Is he just a really expensive third corner? He might not be happy with it. You have an out after 2 years, but then you have to eat it for next year too. It puts you in a really tough spot. I'm wondering if they'll get creative, Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilks, and use a lot of 3-corner packages. Maybe because the safety room's a little bit weaker, they move him around. Stevens does have history playing at safety, so maybe that's something that they have up their sleeve. I haven't seen that yet, right? Like, we haven't gotten reports that Brandon Stevens been playing safety at OTAs and minicamp, but we'll have more eyeballs in training camp. I know there's going to be some dates where it's open to the public. I'm hoping to get out there to see training camp. I like doing it, and I'll be able to report on what's going on. It's always a fun time doing that, but I think PG brings up a good point. The players will know, just like they knew with Zach Wilson, just like some of the guys were saying on Aaron Rodgers last year. These guys know, they're not dumb, and they want to win. These guys have been here for a long time, and they want to win football games. Let's go to Peter calling in from the beautiful Hudson Valley.
Hey, Matt. It's Peter calling from up in the hazy, hot, and humid Hudson Valley on this Monday evening. I feel like I was melting today.
Yes.
And probably tomorrow, too. Holy cow. This weather sucks. Anyway, calling in this week, hope that this call sounds better. From last week's call, I had to go back and listen to it because a couple people called me out in the comments that they couldn't hear me quite clearly, and technically I think because I was on my Wi-Fi when I was calling, I didn't come through so clearly. At least I could certainly hear it. So hopefully this sounds better in my usual radio voice. Don't really have a question for this week because there, as we say, it's the off season and not much is really going on until training camp starts late next month. But I do want to comment on some things that I'm seeing, and it's not to be a knock on yourself and other Jets content creators. I know you have to report on things that are being talked about with the Jets, but frankly, this is a whole new regime, a whole new coaching staff, and a whole lot of new players. And I just wish people would give them a chance. I'm really tired of seeing like Aaron Rodgers and, other, sports commentators out there throwing shade and hate on the Jets. And I'm just kind of tired of it. We lived through two not great seasons. One with Aaron Rodgers playing 4 plays, and one where we only got 5 wins.
5-12.
And frankly, it's in the past. I want it to be in the past. I want to move forward with this new regime and this new coaching staff and this, this roster. And I want things to be better. And I'm just tired of looking back on things. Oh, criticizing the running game. Well, you audibled out of so many damn plays, Rodgers. Seriously. I'm just kind of tired of it all. And again, not to be a knock on you guys, you do have to report these things when it happens, but I'm just kind of tired of the negativity. So, and then not really a question this week, just a commentary on things. I just want things to be positive moving forward. I want this team to start winning some games. I want us to have fun this season. And that's all I have to say for this week. Thanks again, and hopefully this came through clearly. And as always, go Jets.
I think I heard you loud and clear, Peter. Thank you so much for the call in. Really appreciate you guys checking in with me in this quiet time. I think you bring up a really good point, and I didn't take that as a slight. Like, I get it. I don't want to be talking Aaron Rodgers stuff either. It's frustrating that this is still a storyline, but you're right. This is a new staff. This is a new regime, and hopefully it starts on a positive note. I think, unfortunately, sometimes you get holdover things from the last guys that were there, whether it's, a change at quarterback or whether it's a change at coaching, some issues that presented themselves with the previous coach. If you start out bad, then you don't have as long of a leash because from the fan base, I mean, maybe not from the organization, but you don't have as much of a leash because people are frustrated. They want to see success. And for the Jets, they have the longest active playoff drought. I think Aaron Glenn knows that he's got to turn it around to get it to that point. And, as PG was saying, everyone knows they got to win games. They'll get to that point. And I think they are trending in the right direction. I'll say it one more time. I don't know if this is the year that they end the playoff drought, but I think you could take a tangible step forward. And if things hit and maybe you find your quarterback, whether it's Justin Fields, long shot, or finding a rookie next year, then, you could see them win some games. The Jets made the playoffs in 2009 with the rookie Mark Sanchez. He wasn't very good that year, but they had a great defense and a great running game. This team is going to have a really improved defense, and they're going to run the shit out of the football. And hopefully, it's not going to be pretty, but I don't care about pretty. I just want to win games. If they win every game, if they go 17-0 and win every game 10-6, I'm going to be the happiest guy in the world. I don't care because I just want to see wins at this point. That'll do it for us on this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.